18.
The COVID-19 pandemic playing a huge role in the opioid epidemic. I'm Chris Warner. We'll take a look at the numbers and what resources are available for those struggling with addiction.
There are more signs the Omicron surge will soon be behind us, with new cases and hospitalizations plummeting over the past month. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. The Pittsburgh Police Department arrests a man they say broke into the high school. Police say Saturday the suspect broke into the high school, used a fire hose to spray water in the gym, and stole property. Investigators say he was arrested shortly after the break-in was discovered with the stolen property in his possession. No official charges have been filed. In a statement, the superintendent said they are cooperating with the investigation and, quote, "We are thankful that student and staff remained unharmed during this incident and that learning and activities are going to continue as planned this week at Pittsburgh High School." Joplin Fire Department is investigating a fire in a motel room. Crews responded to the fire around 3:30 this afternoon at the Best Western Oasis on Rangeline. The fire was contained to one room. No one was inside and no injuries were reported. COVID-19 pandemic has turned many people's worlds upside down. While there is some semblance of returning to normal, there's still other stresses impacting people's lives. As a result, opioid overdoses are up nationwide. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with the Ozark Center on what's being seen locally and what options are available for those struggling with addiction.
93,000. That's the number of overdose deaths nationwide in 2020, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. It's the highest number of overdose deaths ever recorded in a 12-month period, a 30% increase from 2019. Nathan Honeycutt with the Ozark Center's New Directions facility says they've seen an increase in overdoses locally.
Anytime we're trying to deal with our emotions and dealing with the things that are happening, we're using substances in order to better to address that for a lot of those struggling with addictions.
Honeycutt says there are several options available to those suffering from addiction to opioids to get treatment.
So if they're a person that likes more of a group type setting, if a person likes more of an individual one-on-one type basis, a detox type program, a residential program, all of those services are all provided, and we are able to do that here at Ozark Center.
Another issue that's hit the Joplin area is fentanyl. Clinical Director Spencer Ellis says other drugs like cocaine and methamphetamines are being laced with fentanyl, making the situation more dangerous.
And so because of the uncertainty of what it is that they are going to receive, creates a lot of concern, a lot of fear. The fear of the unknown.
Ellis says the opioid epidemic is impacting more than just the user. It's impacting their families. So the Ozark Center provides overdose education on how to use Narcan. But with the fentanyl addition, there's a new issue.
Very unfortunately, one of the things we have found recently is that the use of the 2-spray Narcan use may not be enough in and of itself to bump the fentanyl out of the opiate receptors. And so a lot of times it takes a double dose.
Ellis says even with that complication, getting help sooner rather than later is your best option. In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
The Ozark Center is hosting a free event for those impacted by a friend or family member's addiction this March. We have more information in this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Meteorologist Nick Kelly joining us now. Windy day today. Nick.
Yeah, a very atypical February day, Jordan, from a low of 50, which is what our normal high should just about be, to 73. 3 shy for the record of 76, set back in 96. But we're starting to see things pick up in terms of weather. A tornado watch just clipping Benton County until 4 a.m. But Doug and I keep looking at the changing setup as we go into tonight. Nothing on the radar right now. Storms really potent to the south of the region, but with an upper level wave and our next cold front coming in, we think the better chances for more prevalent severe weather is going to stay just south and east of the region. But you can see, Jordan, as we go into the overnight after 10, 11 o'clock up until about the morning drive, we'll have to deal with thunderstorms that could pack a punch. We'll see what these storms can do. And we got another system we're tracking as well. Break it all down here in a bit.
Thanks as always, Nick. People in the medical field learned some valuable lessons today at the 7th annual Guardians of the Heart Conference. The conference is hosted at Downstream Casino and Resort in Quapaw, Oklahoma. Focuses on several topics including cardiology, neurology, and trauma care.
I don't think people realize all the time, but fire, EMS, and police, they all work together. I mean, everybody's going for the same goal. So it's great to be able to provide educational opportunities where they can come in and kind of learn what each other does, learn how to work together, and learn how to work as a team.
Conference runs through Wednesday. Cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are all falling, and immunities are climbing as the Omicron surge shows further signs of weakening. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seary has more now from Atlanta.
We're coming out of the Omicron surge and the numbers are telling the story. Hospitalizations generally come down after the case count starts falling, and that's exactly what's happening now. Fewer than 68,000 COVID hospitalizations reported on Sunday. It was at 151,000 just a month ago. Some hospitals finally breathing a sigh of relief, but say these trends will need to continue in order to get staffing levels back up to normal.
Healthcare workers are in desperate need of our help. They're beyond exhausted.
A growing number of states, encouraged by the positive trends, are now lifting COVID restrictions, while others are making plans to close vaccination and testing centers, prompting significant pushback from some doctors and public health officials.
We need to be focusing on making sure people who are vulnerable to this virus and other viruses have what they need in terms of vaccines, boosters, treatments, and so forth.
And it's a similar story overseas. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson ending all remaining COVID restrictions in the UK, despite Queen Elizabeth testing positive over the weekend. And in Australia, borders that were closed to international visitors for almost 2 years are now reopening, with officials predicting a big uptick in tourism in the coming months.
We'll see it build up over time, but it's going to require a lot of effort, working closely with the tourism industry to ensure they build this back up.
Despite today's announcement, the UK remains at a level 4 on the CDC's advisory list, meaning Americans are advised not to travel there. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seary, Fox News.
The latest variant of the coronavirus is to blame for a delay in vaccine approval for young Americans. U.S. health regulators delayed reviewing Pfizer's COVID vaccine in children under the age of 5 years old. This was because the initial 2-dose series of the shot was not working as well against the Omicron variant. The vaccine showed effectiveness against the Delta variant, but some vaccinated children still developed COVID once Omicron became the more widespread variant. If you're struggling to keep up with those rising energy bills, you're not alone. An exclusive new report by Fox Business finds millions of Americans couldn't pay their home energy bills almost every month last year. Fox Business Network's Lydia Hugh is at New York's largest power plant with this report.
A group called Help Advisor analyzed the most recent data from the U.S. Census Bureau exclusively for Fox Business to look for trends in spending on utility bills. They found that 24% of Americans, roughly 1 in 4, reduced or forwent basic expenses like food and medicine so they could pay their energy bill in the last 12 months. 16% of Americans kept their homes at an unsafe temperature to lower their energy bill. About 4.5%, or more than 9 million Americans, said they could not pay their home energy bill almost every month in the past year. That rises to 41 million Americans who say they've been unable to pay at least once within the past year. These trends are particularly concerning, especially for Americans who are on fixed incomes.
Some of our members are telling us that they're foregoing certain medical procedures because they don't have the money for the out-of-pocket expenses to get these procedures done. And they're telling us that they're buying fewer groceries.
The national balance for utility accounts in arrears climbed 10% from 2020, reaching $22.3 billion last year. California and New York were among the states leading the country, each reporting more than $1 billion in arrears in their states. The concern is that there's no relief in sight for Americans. Right now, most are under winter shut-off moratoriums, but those will start to expire come March and April, meaning millions of Americans will have to face these skyrocketing utility bills. Reporting from Manhattan, Lydia Hu for Fox Business.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Buddy Byler served in the U.S. Air Force. Native of Webb City, Missouri, Byler was stationed in Korea and Vietnam, earning a Distinguished Flying Cross Medal. We are proud to thank and salute Buddy Byler. He's tonight's four-state hero. Nick Kelly's next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Missouri Southern baseball aiming for their 4th straight win, hosting Illinois.
Even though we kept things pretty quiet for today, we got a whole lot to go over, so let's just dive right in to this crazy forecast we have lined up. I know that this is what a lot of people want to know about, and certainly has been the talk of the town. The winter storm watches out from northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas until 6 Thursday evening. Well, we got to get through the system working through tonight first. I mean, it's clipping Berry County with a flood watch because, in general, the rain and storms we'll see tonight could dump between ½ an inch and up to maybe an inch and a quarter of rainfall. But in the immediate short term, we're just seeing Benton County clipped with a tornado watch until we hit 4 o'clock Tuesday morning. This is in anticipation of our next storm system rolling in, but out ahead of it, we saw partly sunny skies turn mostly cloudy throughout the afternoon and evening. Definitely mild with highs in the 70s today. Nothing underneath our increasing clouds right now, but the radar is going to get a bit of a workout with increasing rain chances as we go through the overnight. Right now, 7th and range line quiet, 63 with a south wind at 14 and gusts near 25, and the humidity really starting to perk up at 81%. Lower in the middle 60s, out ahead of the approaching cold front from the northwest. That is where everybody sits right now. In fact, let me show you actually where the frontal boundary is, and you can actually see it with the wind arrows switching out of the north across the west of the state of Kansas, and certainly helping to trigger the thunderstorms out across parts of Oklahoma and Texas. This front is going to work together with this quick upper level wave coming out of Colorado and New Mexico. That's just one system. This upper low in Idaho, that's the one that'll give us another winter storm as we go into the middle of the week. In the short term, though, again, we do have a part of the area clipped by a low threat of severe weather. Even though Doug and I have been looking at things, we think the better shot for any severe weather is going to stay mainly just south of the region. But from about 11 o'clock tonight until 5 a.m., we will watch for some storms that could be capable of wind, hail, and mainly heavy rainfall. Here's how the future track wants things to play out. Here's midnight. Storms developing to the south and west come marching in along 44. This is where we're going to have to keep a close eye on the radar, but again, we think the better shot for any more potent severe weather stays just south of the region. By 6 a.m. the morning drive, we're done with the rain chances, but behind that passing cold front, temperatures just go in the wrong direction all day long. Take Joplin, for example. We'll go to 55 at 6 a.m., drop to 43 by noon, and continue dropping near 40, while everybody else will be in the 30s and 40s for tomorrow afternoon. Then we got that upper wave out near Idaho, giving us snow and sleet chances, maybe a little freezing rain for Wednesday, certainly Wednesday afternoon and evening, and then continuing in periods throughout Thursday before this tapers off as some light snow showers by Thursday night. Most of us with this winter storm on the way could see a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch of ice, but once you go south and east of Joplin, that's where some areas could pick up to ½ an inch of ice, so we need to keep a very close eye on that. And for areas north of the interstate where you won't see much in the way of freezing rain, you'll pick up maybe 1 to 2 inches of sleet and snow combined before we get a chance to calm things down by Friday. But 40 by the afternoon tomorrow, Jordan, upper 20s to near 30. That will certainly set the stage for yet another winter storm that'll have to come on through.
½ an inch of ice in the Ozark Mountains.
That's not good news anywhere.
That's not good. All right, we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks so much, Nick. Coming up, more heat on Russia.
The U.S. getting ready to roll out sanctions after the Kremlin says it will recognize the independence of 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with the latest details on the escalating tensions with Russia coming up.
Intention to recognize 2 breakaway regions in Ukraine as independent. Fox's Madeline Rivera is in D.C. with these latest developments.
To give the republics the right to secede from a single state without any conditions, at first glance this is generally incomprehensible, some kind of madness.
Russian President Vladimir Putin in a primetime address to his nation on Monday, giving his own history lesson about Ukraine, a country he repeatedly argues has long-standing ties with Russia and was once part of the Russian Empire. Now, in a move foreign affairs analysts see as a bid to reclaim territory, Putin will recognize independence for 2 separatist regions of Ukraine, Luhansk and Donetsk.
When it gets down to what he is talking about here, is that Ukraine never should have been separated from the Soviet Union. It is a part of Russia, and I'm taking back the land that is rightfully ours.
Questions remain as to exactly how Putin moves forward. U.S. officials warn as many as 190,000 Russian troops surround the Ukrainian border, ready to invade. All eyes are also on Western leaders to see how they respond.
You can feel the reverberations across Eastern Europe and Western Europe, where there is a lot of concern. Where does Putin stop? Where does this thing end?
The U.S. responding with sanctions.
We've been very clear about what they are, how severe they're going to be, and we'll see what Mr. Putin decides to do.
Ukrainian forces are preparing for the worst as shelling from Russian-backed separatists intensify. President Biden, who also spoke with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky on Monday, has signaled he is open to meeting with President Putin if Russia hasn't invaded Ukraine just yet. The prospects of that summit dimming, though, after Putin's speech on Monday. In Washington, Malta Rivera, Fox News.
Still ahead, costing more to go places.
Americans who fill up their gas tank know it all too well. Gas prices are up. How long will they stay up, and what's driving the increase in prices? I'm Mark Meredith at the White House. We'll take a closer look coming up.
Parent company of several well-known restaurant chains says to look for their food to cost more. Restaurant Brands International, which owns Burger King, Popeyes, Tim Hortons, Firehouse Subs, says that system-wide sales were up about 14% in 2021, with global digital sales growing 65%. But CEO Jose Sil says higher labor costs going to cause higher prices this year. RBI acquired Firehouse Subs in December 2021. RBI has 26,000 restaurants in 100 countries with $35 billion in annual sales. Americans are battling rising prices at the gas pump. Energy analysts warn tensions abroad, as we've been hearing about earlier, could make the whole situation even worse. Fox News correspondent Mark Meredith has more from the White House.
Drivers know it all too well. Gas prices are soaring to levels not seen in 8 years. AAA reports the national average for a gallon of gas is up to $3.53. That's up 4 cents from last week and nearly $1 from a year ago. Energy analysts say there are multiple reasons why prices are up. For one, demand is surging as more Americans travel amid the widespread lifting of pandemic restrictions. Then there's the growing threat of a deadly war in Eastern Europe. Early Monday, oil prices fell after President Biden signaled he's open to meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but the situation between Russia and NATO countries as well as the U.S. remains volatile, and experts warn sanctions on Russia's energy industry could rattle the crude oil market.
Because no one's committing to increasing supplies at a time of tremendous geopolitical uncertainty, the markets are trying to price that in.
U.S. and European officials insist Russia will face severe consequences if it invades Ukraine, but not all EU leaders support sanctions on Russian energy exports. Still, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says it's critical for countries to become less dependent on Russian oil and gas.
I understand the costs and the complexities of this effort and the fact that it is easier said than done.
To avoid a spike in gas prices, some Democrats would like to see the government impose a holiday when it comes to the gas tax. It's an idea that's being kicked around here in Washington, but it could also have a big political implication heading into the midterm elections. At the White House, Mark Meredith, Fox News.
All right, up next, popular chip brand Doritos. Get off the screen, Mark. Going to the other side of the aisle, dips. Doritos will soon release new Cool Ranch and Nacho cheese dips, making the chip lover's dream a reality. The brand is turning its traditional flavors into dips: Cool Ranch, jalapeno, and spicy nacho. Both have a hot touch of jalapeno for an interesting twist to the sauce. Retailers like Kroger, Food Fair Markets, and Londonderry are already promoting the items on their websites. The dips will come in 10-ounce containers, which are ideal for dipping chips. We were talking about this during the commercial break of what things you would actually use with that dip. And the more I think about it, I don't know. You know, if you're going to use it with tortilla chips, just buy Doritos, right? I don't know. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. How Missouri Southern is making sure its students all have professional clothing.
Police in D.C. are preparing for a possible freedom convoy like the one that blocked the streets of Canada's capital for weeks. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have details straight ahead.
Missouri Southern and the Joplin Chamber are once again teaming up to make sure that graduating students are dressed to impress. Each year, the school provides, through donations, clothes for students to wear at job interviews, things like suit jackets and slacks, and they're in need of donations.
Dress slacks for men and women, and professional tops like button-up tops for men and women. Those are things that we always need. Guys, I know you have out there ties that you never wear. Pass those on to the next generation. Maybe a gentleman who's a senior here at Missouri Southern State University would love that tie, but you don't wear it very often.
What a neat and important service. You can drop off donations at Missouri Southern or the Joplin Chamber. This week is National Eating Disorders Week, and to help raise awareness for the disorders, the Ozark Center gave us a look at just how they treat them. They use exposure therapy, which allows the patient to face their different fears and difficulties. They also use Reconnect coaches, try a more personable approach with the patient that they hope makes them more open.
It kind of opens up more topics and more conversations that they wouldn't even think to tell their therapist or their dietitian or nurse or something, because they're just asking those like clinical questions. So it makes it more, I agree, I think it just makes it more personal.
You can find more information on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. CDC report revealing a spike in eating disorders in teens, especially teen girls, during this pandemic. Fox's Lisa Evers has a look now from New York City.
Nearly everyone has experienced stress at some point during the pandemic, but a new CDC report reveals it was especially tough on teen girls. The agency says visits by adolescent girls to emergency rooms doubled across the country. The main reason was to seek treatment for mental health issues, including eating disorders.
I think it's very alarming, but unfortunately not surprising for a variety of reasons. Adolescents have been lonely and isolated. They're not socializing as much with friends. Their daily routines have really been disrupted. Their sleep, their eating, their exercise, their everyday routines. And there's been an overall lack of control.
Dr. Silton says to some teen girls, the only thing they feel they can control is what they put into their mouths. She says eating disorders are a particular concern because they carry both mental and physical health risks, with social media messaging increasing the pressure.
Because social media is often discussing pandemic-related weight gain. It's giving various quick weight loss ideas. And so there's just a barrage of these messages constantly for these adolescents.
Other contributing factors to the sharp increase include the weight obsessions of parents and the lack of activities that can help build the girls' self-esteem.
I think it's really important for teenagers to think about what they're passionate about, what wakes them up in the morning, what they're excited about, and for parents and teachers to really nurture those talents.
Dr. Silton does see some hope. She believes the body positivity movement, which is big on social media, is helping to counter all the other imagery, which reinforces harmful messaging that girls aren't good enough as they are. In the newsroom, I'm Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News.
Well, Family Dollar is recalling several products sold in its stores. The chain says the products were sent to more than 400 of its locations, and they had been at one of its distribution centers where there was a presence of rodents and rodent activity. Drugs, medical devices, cosmetics, and dietary supplements, as well as human and pet food products, are being recalled. They were stored in the Family Dollar distribution facility in West Memphis, Arkansas. The products have been shipped to 404 stores in Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, Missouri, Mississippi, and Louisiana since January of 2021. Family Dollar says it's working to reopen stores as soon as possible. Authorities are actively monitoring, they say, plans for a large trucker convoy on its way to the nation's capital. It's a similar demonstration to the one that recently occurred in Canada. One of the organizers says it could be big enough to shut down a major highway. Fox's Caroline Shively has more details from Washington.
Law enforcement agencies in and around Washington, D.C. are gearing up for a potential protest by truckers and their supporters, hoping to avoid the chaos of a similar demonstration in Canada that clogged the streets of Ottawa for weeks and blocked a major trade route to the U.S.
You think about all the small American businesses that depend on that trade. I was very happy when they cleared the blockade of that bridge.
One organizer who plans to lead a convoy from Pennsylvania to D.C. on Wednesday says his group won't target Capitol Hill, but instead block part of the Capitol Beltway, a 64-mile highway that circles the city and runs through Maryland and Virginia.
I'll give you an analogy of that of a giant boa constrictor that basically squeezes you, chokes you, and then swallows you, and that's what we're going to do to D.C.
Social media posts indicate a D.C. demonstration would be for a number of reasons, but like in Canada, focused on COVID restrictions.
I would absolutely welcome a similar pronouncement of protest in our nation's capital by truckers and anyone who wants their freedoms back. People are fed up with these overbearing, overburdening regulations that are not based in science.
Police are already ramping up security here, and sources tell Fox they'll erect a fence around the Capitol ahead of the president's State of the Union speech next week. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bit later, more companies on the road, self-driving trucks.
We've all seen self-driving cars, but what about a self-driving commercial truck? I'm Marianne Rafferty in Los Angeles, and I'll have more on how companies are making this a reality.
We have quite a bit to get to, so we're just going to go ahead and just dive right in because this is quite an interesting forecast that's about to unfold. I know everyone is fixated on the midweek storm system, which already has prompted winter storm watches for northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas until Thursday evening by 6 o'clock. But we have a system coming in before that one, and it's coming in tonight. So with another half an inch to an inch of rain expected, especially over some areas that don't need any more rain, including parts of Berry County. That's a flood watch until noon tomorrow. But in the immediate shorter term, we actually have Benton County, Arkansas, getting clipped by a tornado watch until 4 o'clock in the morning. Wouldn't have thought that we would have a big system come on through today, but we had plenty of cloud cover pickup this afternoon and evening. Nothing underneath the clouds right now, though. And just to make doubly sure, nothing in our immediate area on the radar network, but this is going to get a bit of a workout, not only for tonight, but with the system by the middle of the week, that will certainly be ready to come our way. 63 in Joplin, the south wind to 14, gusts to 25, making sure that humidity keeps on climbing up, sitting at 81%. We have everybody pretty much in the lower to middle 60s out ahead of the approaching cold front, which you can see living up to its name with much colder temperatures across the turnpike, across central and western parts of Kansas. Before we deal with the colder air, we've got this massive thunderstorm staying mainly to the south, but additional development on the way in later on tonight as this cold front and this quick wave coming out of Colorado. They'll come together, give us our rain chances tonight. Then this upper wave near Idaho, that's the one that could give us our next winter storm in a seemingly endless parade of winter storms. But we'll take these systems one at a time. First system tonight has a low severe threat from 11 o'clock this evening until about 5 a.m. Tuesday. Well, Doug and I keep looking at this setup. We still think the better shot for more potent and more prevalent severe weather will be just south of the region. But with any storms that come through during the overnight, we'll just keep an eye on them for some wind, hail, and maybe some heavy rain. Can't rule out the slimmest chance for an isolated tornado, but we still think that better threat will be to the south. Here we are at midnight. The radar may not look exactly like this, but it's still got the idea that we'll have rain and thunderstorm chances picking up during the overnight. Keep on coming through until we can clear it out by the morning drive, by about 6 a.m. or so. But behind that passing cold front that clears out the rain chances, temperatures just go in the completely wrong direction as we go throughout the day. 55 at 6 a.m. down to 43 by noon, and we'll continue to drop to 40 as we go into Tuesday afternoon. At least we're dry Tuesday afternoon, going into Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. However, that wave coming out of Idaho, look at what it does. Cold enough at the surface with some warm air aloft. This is a setup for snow and sleet chances with the way things are looking going into Wednesday. We'll watch for freezing rain, sleet, and snow chances for Thursday, which could give many of us a tenth to a quarter of an inch of ice, potentially heavier amounts up to half an inch of ice closer you get to Table Rock Lake. And for those that don't pick up much ice, so far we're thinking much of the region near and north of I-44, maybe 1 to 2 inches of sleet and snow combined. So Mother Nature is throwing us the entire kitchen sink as we go through the next few days, Jordan. Dropping to 40 tomorrow afternoon, 29 Wednesday, 30 on Thursday. That's the setup for that next winter storm. At least we'll get a chance to calm down Friday by the time the weekend gets underway.
Like you said, take it day by day.
Yes, we
Nick
will.
Kelly, thank you so much. All right, coming up in sports, a matchup of two of the best girls high school basketball teams in Southwest Missouri. Plus, Pitt State tries for a series win against Wayne State. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
This week is the final week of the regular season for MIAA basketball. The Missouri Southern men hit the road tonight against Missouri Western in a makeup game from earlier in the year. The Lions trying to snap a 3-game losing streak against Western in this one. They sealed it with some late free throws, winning 71-68. Avery Taggart, huge night. He hits 5 threes, finishes with a game-high 25 points. Well, 2 of the best girls teams in Southwest Missouri meet tonight in Carl Junction. The Bulldogs welcoming the Nixa Eagles in a battle of 2 top 10 teams. And Nixa is currently ranked 4th in Class 6, while CJ, number 7 in Class 5. A good start for Carl Junction. Destiny Berge out to Hallie Shorter for 3. Then flip it around, Shorter to Berge this time for 3. Berge scores 9 in the first, 27 for the game. But Macy Conway was a big problem in the second. Turns and scores here. Then minutes later, working again on the block. Conway gets 12 in the first half. And Nixa was up by 15 at the break, third quarter. Kylie Scott saves it to Desi Williams. The freshman had a good game tonight. CJ within 8 going to the fourth. Now they did get within 1, but Nora Clark scores and the foul. She scores 17 tonight. Back to Macy Conway. She was great. Conway drops 23 tonight to lead the Eagles. Nixa outlasts Carl Junction 70-59. The Missouri Southern baseball team is finishing up the MIAA GLVC crossover today. Now, the Lions have won the first 3 games of the crossover after sweeping a doubleheader from Truman State on Sunday. Southern on the field against Illinois Springfield today, trying for their 4th straight win. 4th inning, big swing here from Drew Davis. Up and out to left. First homer of the year for Davis. 5 in the inning gives Southern their first lead. Prairie Stars tie it back up, then bottom of the 5th, Matt Miller gets the Lions back on top. Single here brings in Clay Milas. It's 7-6 Missouri Southern, but once again, tied up at 8 in the bottom of the 8th. 2 on, 2 outs for Ryan Doran. Huge clutch single up the middle, scores Tragan Parker and Drew Davis. It's 10-8 Lions, and that's how it finished. Southern wins 10-8 on Ryan Doran's go-ahead single in the 8th.
I saw a fastball up and away, and I was coming out. It was a big spot, and I kind of knew that the pitcher wanted to get on top. So, I was able to stick with my approach and stick middle away.
I'm really proud of the way our guys competed. Clutch hit by Dorn. Miller also had a big hit, and then good pitching by Dunsing and Leif. And so proud of our guys for sure.
To Pittsburgh now, the Gorillas trying to take the series from Wayne State after splitting the first 2 games of their 3-game series. The Wildcats have bases loaded in the first. Zach Curry, look at this, steps off the mound. Guy on third takes off and steals home. Wayne State gets 2 in the top of the first. Gorillas, though, do some damage in the second. 2 on for Ryan Koval. Thing rolls all the way to the wall. Scores Garrett McGowan and Cruz Aranda. Game is tied. Then Mason Hartman shoots one down the line in right. That brings Koval home. Pitt State has its first lead, but they're not done there. Second and third for Caleb Carr here. Pokes it into left. 2 more score. Look at this. Hartman fired up. 5 in the second for the Gorillas. Pitt State takes the series, winning this one 9-5. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Get this, next time you hit the road, you might be sharing it with a driverless semi-truck. Fox News correspondent Mary Ann Rafferty has these details from Los Angeles.
Companies are trying to do their part to tackle the nationwide truck driver shortage. How, you might ask? By creating driverless trucks.
What we're doing in Arkansas with Walmart is operating 2 of our autonomous box trucks on a 7.1 mile long route in a repeated and daily fashion.
Autonomous vehicle startup Gatik and Walmart becoming the latest duo to partner up in an effort to help with the driver shortage. The trucking industry faces a critical driver deficit since the start of the pandemic. The American Trucking Association has estimated that the shortage could be as high as 80,000. Gatik isn't the only player in the autonomous driving game. Self-driving truck company Embark Technology Incorporated says it was handing over some of its trucks to one of the largest freight carriers in the U.S., Knight Swift. And in Arizona, Two Simple Holdings taking it up a notch by testing out driverless semi-trucks. The company recently testing their truck at a facility in Tucson.
it didn't interfere with traffic, right? We don't want this to be a test tube kind of test. We want this to be a real open road driving experience.
The successful 1 hour and 20-minute trial run started at a rail yard in Tucson and ended in a distribution center in the Phoenix area. To protect drivers on the road, the truck was escorted by police cars. The company's CEO feeling optimistic about the future.
We're solving this demand supply problem.
Too Simple CEO says the company will be conducting more tests throughout the year to ensure safety. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
All right, coming up, gonna get an inside look at what toys are expected to fly off those store shelves this year. Get ready for the major toy trends of 2022. The Toy Insider's Madeline Buckley has a scoop on some of the toys you're going to be hearing about in the months to come. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Aw, look! The Toy Insider gives a sneak peek at some of the hottest play trends hitting store shelves this year.
All of these toys will be coming out at different times this year and are really showing the innovation and interactivity that we're seeing in the toy aisle.
Beloved classics from the 80s and 90s make a comeback.
Everyone's played Operation, Twister, Crocodile Dentist. Those are the 3 toys in this collection. But now these games are getting an upgrade as water games. So you're going to plug a hose in, and as you're playing Twister or playing Operation, water is going to be spewing out. Light Bright, one of those classic toys from the 80s, been around and still available, but now it's getting this new version called Light Bright Wall Art, and it's physically so much larger. This is 16 by 16. It's made up of those same little pegs that you would have in that classic Light Bright. It comes with 3 different pop art inspired designs, and you'll turn it on and you can actually hang this up on a wall.
STEM and educational toys continue to be popular.
The Magic Adventures microscope. It functions as a regular microscope where kids can take a close look at things under the tray, but it also comes with interactive slides that when you plug it in, it uses this screen and kids will see more than 250 videos and photos of different science topics.
It's a surprise baby!
Little Live Pets Mama Surprise from Moose Toys. It's a continuation of their Little Live Pets, which are interactive toy animals. And here we have our Little Live Pets guinea pig. Once kids get the mama guinea pig happy and content, they put her in the hutch, and that's when the surprises really get going. Because overnight, there's going to be a little baby guinea pig that appears in the hutch. So it's this fun interactive element where you have that fun surprise of taking care of pets, caring for something in a really cool play pattern.
This baby's a princess.
Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That thing's kind of weird, you know? It's a surprise baby. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Gonna leave you with video of Francois leaf monkeys in China. No surprise babies there. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.